put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome back. It is 7:38 a.m. here on the Tobago Updates morning show. And we have the opportunity this morning in this segment. We're speaking ICT in schools. We're speaking information technology. Where are we heading? And this morning we have the opportunity to speak with Mauricia Edwards-Thomas, Senior Information Systems Specialist, Support Specialist at the Division of Education, Research and Technology. Good morning and welcome to you.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
All right. So as we get the conversation started this morning, let's start off first. In the very older days and years ago, you would just have an IT section within the division. Let's speak very broadly in the first instance about that area of responsibility within the Division of Education, Research and Technology.
All right. So let me say, when I would have joined the Division of Education, back then, Education, Youth Affairs and Sport, the ICT section would have comprised of just one officer. I became the second officer on the team here in Tobago. Our main responsibility would have been, continue to be to support the ICT implementation in the division and in particular in the schools, right? So, our responsibilities, therefore, encompass the implementation of networking infrastructure, implementation and maintenance of the telecommunication infrastructure. That includes the telephone systems and the internet services. Of course, there's also the deployment and upkeep of equipment throughout the division and the schools, so printers, computers, copiers, you name it.
All right. So as we speak, and a fast track to what we have just been through, the immediate demands placed on ICT. And just for the benefit of our viewers, what does ICT stand for?
All right. So ICT is Information and Communication Technology. So it speaks to the interconnection of the devices. It speaks to the management and manipulation of the data in the environment. So it's information and the communication technology.
All right. So I want you to fast track to the pandemic period, and now as we're heading on out of this pandemic period, the importance and the role, particularly with regards to ICT in our schools under the responsibility of the Division of Education.
All right. So the pandemic, while you're always preparing for technology, we can say that the pandemic would have hit us as most other persons by surprise, so that you were not fully prepared for what we had to face. However, the division was able to quickly respond. The THA was able to secure over 3,000 devices that would have been deployed to students to allow them to be able to get online for their classes. Not only was the devices provided by the THA, there were a lot of private sector organizations that would have also supported the plea and would have contributed to several of our schools providing devices for students who were in need so that they would have been able to function during this period. In addition to that, the division was also, would have, at that point, just at the start of the pandemic, we would have launched the division's website, which you can visit at https://tha.gov.tt. On the website, we were able to share a lot of resources. The learning management system was deployed. The division was able to engage the teachers to produce lessons, recorded lessons that were aired on the website and also on the media, so that students would have had the opportunity for some asynchronous learning during that period also.
How do you see these being continued in terms of continued utilization within our education system now that schools have returned to in-person?
All right. So,
And I'm asking the question quite simply because in several circles I've made the point. If we just return to what we knew 2019 before COVID, then we're wasting time if COVID has taught us nothing else in terms of how to better utilize our technology. So now that students are back in school face to face, how are those opportunities still being utilized in some way, form, or fashion to keep persons abreast? So should something happen again, God forbid, in some way, form, or fashion, the transition should not be that challenging in our system.
all right. So, you have me, I'm smiling because you have me starting to think about being an educator now. And right? So bear in mind that I'm not an educator,
Yes.
right? But based upon conversations that we have been having in the division now, the mandate has been that we cannot go back to where we were, right? We cannot go back to chalk and talk. So for one, we would have invested heavily in the acquisition of devices, and these devices must be used. In addition to that, we are living in the digital age, and the children now, the technology is what they know, and it is where they would also learn best, right? So teachers, I know some teachers are definitely using the technology that is available to them. They are still using their online class, their digital classrooms. They are still using those technologies to both share information and interact with their students. And this is actually being encouraged even more. So just 2 weeks ago, we would have just completed a training session where over 160 or just about 160 teachers would have been trained in the use of the digital platforms for teaching and learning. This would have come on the heels of the implementation of 9 smart classrooms, 1 in each secondary school, right? So in these smart classrooms, the schools were all provided with a smart interactive board along with a document camera, web camera, PTZ camera, and all of this to aid in the delivery of education via the technology.
All right. As we prepare to wrap this morning, I'd like you to share, where do you see things heading, or what's your hopes and aspirations in terms of with ICT in our schools, and even going beyond that, probably looking at the context of your division at the Tobago House of Assembly?
Okay, so definitely in the education sector, the encouragement is for the teachers to embrace the technology and use it, have the students interact where they are comfortable. So as I would have indicated, 160 teachers were trained. However, smart classrooms were implemented only in the secondary schools, right? So the secondary schools would have received the devices, and 90 teachers from secondary schools were trained. However, there were teachers from ECC schools and the primary schools that also received training. The training that they would have received was specific to using the online applications to engage the students, right? Teachers were encouraged to use the application to be able to formulate the lessons through quizzes and games and other interactive medias where the children would be comfortable while actually learning.
All right.
Right? So this is the encouragement for the teachers. Also, we know that the thrust as it relates to examinations is towards e-testing, and that is something that is also being embraced here in the Tobago Circle. So while there has not been a full implementation coming from CXC and from CXC as yet with the e-testing, it is being done in some phases. However, in our schools here in Tobago, the schools from the management levels are being encouraged to utilize e-testing so that the students are comfortable, so that by the time they get to these high-stake exams, they're already comfortable with the use of that e-testing, so that they would be able to excel in their examinations.
Right, excellent. Thank you so much there, Mauricia Edwards Thomas, Senior Information Systems Support Specialist at the Division of Education, Research and Technology. Speaking to us here very broadly about some of the areas that I'm sure it probably caught you by surprise that some of these things are happening in schools, and as well looking at those projections as we continue within our entire education system. Thank you so much for joining us here on set this morning at the Tobago Updates Morning Show. Yes, each and every one of you connecting with us online. I'm seeing a comment here, Karen, and I suspect Karen is out of Tobago at this point. It's wonderful to see progress in our beautiful island. Everyone deserves a good standard of living. Certainly, we welcome those comments in terms of our viewers online. And to recognize, I see Ophelia in the mix, Godfrey Kinder joining us, Carl, Brenda, Antonio, morning and shout outs as well, QK Melville, Liesel James, to each and every one of you connecting with us here on the live. I see Auntie Dora in the mix, Auntie Dornette Dempster also connecting with us. We want to thank you so much. Those of you joining us via TV, sitting comfortably looking on because you have done your contribution in this lifetime and now you're enjoying life from a different perspective, as my grandmother would say. Those of you listening in the hustle and bustle, you're on your way, and those of you connecting with us on the live, this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.